In this video we're going to discuss what you get out of the box in Office 365 and SharePoint. In the previous video we signed up for a trial account in SharePoint. So now what we're going to do is we're going to log in to Office 365, simply putting Office Portal into something like Google or Bing, clicking on the link, and then obviously adding the account name that we set up in the last video. And this will end with .on Microsoft. You should have got an email from Microsoft that will have these details in. And sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. And sometimes if you make a mistake you'll need to refresh in order to allow you to enter. So here we can see the opening screen, standard welcome screen in SharePoint, and here you have the number of apps that are available. Now obviously this depends on the account that you've signed up for. We signed up for the E3 trial account, so therefore we have a variety of applications available to us, and then obviously some helping panels to get started if you haven't downloaded the desktop clients for things like Excel, Word, PowerPoint. You've got this prompt. So where do we go from here? So let's start off in Office 365, so that's this admin tab. Now Office 365 is an enterprise version, an enterprise piece of software, and what that means is it allows you to manage other users at a higher level in the hierarchy of permission structures than other systems may allow you to do. So it gives you very much a granular control over what is going on and what people can do. And there are a variety of controls that are configurable in this panel. A lot of them very convoluted and complex, and some you will use and some you won't, but this video is designed just to give you an overview initially so that we can get started in whatever your endeavours may be. So when we open this panel, we get a number, obviously it's the first time you've opened it, you get a number of help panels come up and explain different things to you. So I'm just going to take you through quite quickly some of the areas that you may want to investigate to get you started. So one of those is obviously users, and in here there's obviously this quick panel here as well as this side panel, but in here you can very quickly see, well, what users have we got, and if you want to then add additional users or remove users, this panel will do that. Now obviously adding users to this panel here provides you with a variety of options. One, obviously they add an account. If you've purchased SharePoint, which hopefully you have done if you've used the E3 account, then they will automatically add those users to SharePoint for you to deploy, and also these users will have access to a variety of other tools such as Exchange, Word, Excel, providing that you've got enough E3 licenses. Now if you're an enterprise solution and you're using things like Active Directory, then this will be slightly different, but this is really just looking at the initial setup before we do any connecting up to any sort of external services. And then in here obviously you've got key factors like billing and subscription, and this is quite handy because from this panel here not only can you see okay, what have I signed up for, and what are my commitments, but you can also see the number of licenses that you've got available, and there is a huge option then to be able to go on from here and be able to purchase a number of other services and extend the platform, if you like, and the software and apps that you can then add on. And this, I think, this is one of the huge benefits of certainly Office 365 and SharePoint over other services and software that I've seen available, is it's the extensibility that you have huge amounts of power, and it's all sold as a service, generally speaking, on a month-to-month basis, so you can add and remove what you don't want or what you do require very, very quickly. So coming down here, the Admin Center is another key area, and this really is our introduction to SharePoint here. As you can see, there's a variety of other options that we can obviously discuss at a later stage, and some of these you may use: Exchange for emails and Outlook, Skype for Business, Active Directory for managing users, and then obviously we have this SharePoint. So if we click SharePoint, where do we go? And this drops us into SharePoint Administration Center, and this really is the beginnings of SharePoint. And we drop into this panel here, which displays the site collections that are initially deployed within SharePoint, and these are all set up by default, so I haven't done any of this. This has all been automatically set up when we signed up for the E3 trial account. And here we have the root site, and these are all site collections, and within these collections there is an initial top administration site or top SharePoint site, and we'll talk maybe a little bit more about what that actually means in another video. But these initial sites set you up with some very basic rudimentary tools within SharePoint. So this initial site is your team site, followed on then with a variety of other sites, such as search sites. So in this site here, you'll be able to search and use the search center, which will pull data from all of these other sites into this site, and then you'll be able to search that information, and we'll look a bit deeper into that in another video. And then there's this My Site. Now this My Site is all related to your social interaction within SharePoint. There are two offerings there from a social perspective in SharePoint. You've got Yammer and you've got the My Site, and the My Site very much links up to the newsfeed. If I just click on this quick launch, and then here in the newsfeed, this is connected up to your My Site, and we'll, as I said, we'll dig a bit deeper into that to have a look at what that does. There are a variety of other panels and options in central, what is called central administration. If it's on premise, and very much this is central administration, but in an Office 365 SharePoint Online version, and you have a variety of other controls, such as user profiles, business connectivity services for bringing in external resources, term store for being able to manage taxonomy and tagging of documents and tagging of really any data within SharePoint, records management for document records, search, which is very important for being able, and search is an interesting term because it doesn't just mean simply people searching for information, but it's also pushing and pulling data, maybe in an automated manner. We'll look a bit further into that. Secure store for securing credentials for things like business connectivity services, and then obviously some of these are self-explanatory in terms of more configuration controls over SharePoint, and we'll maybe get into a bit more of that in other videos. So if we go back to this initial page that we dropped into, you see very much that a lot of these apps here are also the same apps that are available in this quick launch, and this quick launch is available in all SharePoint sites unless you customize it and obviously remove it. And one obviously the starting points is this SharePoint. So if we click on this SharePoint, where does it take us? So as I said, the first time you use this, you get quite a lot of these helper screens. They're quite interesting, and they give you quite a lot of information about how to use some of these interfaces and applications. Now this obviously is empty, and here this will provide you with a list of sites that you may have visited, you may have followed, and is really effective for being able to jump across different sites that you use or your users use in an organisation, particularly if different sites are on different collections and not easy to navigate to. This is an extremely effective tool, and I think I'll show a bit more of this in another video to follow. So let's go back to the site collections. So we've dropped down into this central admin, and if we click on this initial collection and we open this up, as you can see very quickly we get the very first SharePoint team site. Now this comes as default. Again, as I said, I haven't set any of this up. This is deployed right out of the box, and this gives you an initial starting point for a site in a collection, and we'll talk a bit more about obviously all of these different controls in another video. If we go back to the site collection and we drop into the search collection, what you'll see here is that a completely different interface as we talked about, and the ability to be able to search. If I just type in test, we shouldn't come up with anything because there is no data. And this is a completely different site in a completely different collection set up for searching. Now this will search across currently this will search across all of your collections and all of your sites, so you don't have to do anything initially to set this up to get this working. This is quite powerful as you get started and as you start populating SharePoint with different documents. If we drop back here and we click on the Portals hub, so this is the videos portal. Now this comes with SharePoint again, the ability here to be able to drop in video, host video here, share that video, and this video once in SharePoint can be shared throughout different SharePoint sites, or you can just redirect users here to use different channels for your corporate video. Again, this is set up by default by SharePoint. And then that leaves us really with this final option, which drops us into OneDrive initially. Now you can disable this if you don't want OneDrive, or if you want your users to use OneDrive. I found this quite confusing initially because I'm not sure whether I want people loading up documents here at the moment, or whether I want them loading it directly up into libraries within SharePoint, but that's a decision maybe for yourselves to make. So if we drop back here into newsfeed, the OneDrive and this interface is very much related, and in here, in this newsfeed, you will get information about what is going on different sites, things that you're following, things that people have maybe are following you, documents that you may be following, and a variety of other very social tools and applications. And this needs obviously a quite substantial explanation of how this works and how this works in SharePoint, because none of these tools work standalone. They need to work together, and it's about understanding how everything works together to get the most out of it and to get what's right for your organisation. So this was designed as an initial introduction, just to talk through some of the interfaces and just to get you started. I hope it's been helpful, and we will talk about some of the other aspects of SharePoint in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.